on the road, just like Marcus Smart. You know who was at home in the paint? Andre Drummond dunking something. Monster game from him. I mean, Channing, he was incredible from the start without Colin Sexton and Darius Garland on the floor for Cleveland.
Listen, he's a handful, man. And talent-wise, he's still there. You know, his contract here, so he has extra motivation. I think when he gets the opportunity and he's focused, he's a pretty dangerous player, as you saw tonight. In the Cavs, they've been a really good team defensively. It's just they've had a lot of injuries. But, hey, Colin Sexton has been balling this year. Same with Darius Garland. I like what the Cavs are doing for their future and their player development. They just have 17 big men. So as soon as they figure that out, they're going to be all right.
Well, Andre Drummond had enough for 17 big men in the first half. 20 points, 14 rebounds. Cavs go on a 10-0 run. Then the Knicks follow with a 16-0 run of their own. But Drummond, you heard his first half stats, 33 points, 23 rebounds, Smitty. That's an entire front line himself.
Yes, it is. And I like how he's approaching this. He's playing the old school. He's not picking and popping. I love what Cedi Osman is doing. He's having to play a lot of point guard with no Garland and Sexton. But this team is one of those teams, they play, they compete, they playing hard. And unfortunately for the Knicks right here, had a golden opportunity, but they turned it over. And as you can see, that's not good. Your Knicks.
That ain't good.
Not very clutch there for New York. 23 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists for Quickly, but that turnover at the end, rookie out of Kentucky having a good start to his career. But it's Andre Drummond that we have to talk about. He's just the 6th Cavalier to finish with 30 points, 20 rebounds in a game. First since Carlos Boozer in January of 2004. Live look at Andre Drummond tonight, space jamming. That's what Larry Nance Jr. put out there. I know you're a big fan of Space Jam, Jr.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But listen, this is a great gift. I've taught him well. But look, when you have to double-team Andre Drummond, that's a tough night, right? And he's giving you 33 and 23. Give him credit, but good Lord, Knicks, come on, man. We need to get in the waiver room. Somebody got to slow him down a little bit.
So, Smitty, I have to ask you about motivation, right? I mean, there was no Darius Garland and Colin Sexton, so somebody had to pick it up. But they also make this trade for Jared Allen, and there's all these jokes all over social media about, now the Cavs have too many big men. Then Drummond comes out there and performs like that.
Well, I mean, Drummond still has to go play. Channing said it best. I'm just watching their lineup and watching their roster. I mean, usually we've been playing small ball, but the Cavs are saying we're going totally opposite right now. They have a lot of bigs, and obviously some changes have to be made. They can't play them all, especially the way the game is played. But, I like it. We're going to see who they decide to keep. Obviously Andre Drummond I think this is his last year of his deal. But no matter what, bigs or not, I mean, the way they're playing the game, Cedi Osman is one of those kids. I just like the way he plays. I mean, he's one of those guys that can do a little bit of everything, but he has stepped up without the guards. He's been the guy who's facilitating a little bit, averaging about 5.5 assists, but he also put up 25 tonight. I just love, even in losses, sometimes you watch young teams, if they play in the right way, you can stomach some of those losses. But they won this one tonight.
Channing, do you think that Jared Allen and Andre Drummond can coexist on this team?
Heck no. What? Heck no. Man, listen, Jared Allen's going to get the bag from Cleveland. Andre Drummond's going to get traded. This is his contract year. He's going to go somewhere to a team where he's going to be utilized, probably a playoff team with some good guards, maybe in the West. Injuries happen all the time, but they have too many bigs right now. And if I'm the Cavs, you're looking to go younger. Jared Allen is an energy guy. He's proven himself in the playoffs. And for me, he's part of the future for that Cavaliers team. So I could be completely wrong, but if that was me, I say, hey, thank you, Andre Drummond. Now we can get maybe a late first-round pick for you, maybe something else, but we're going to send you somewhere where you could play in the playoffs. Because right now we're building for the future with Garland, Sexton, KPJ, and hopefully Kevin Love comes back and Larry Nance and Jennings.
Well, looking at the Knicks, it's their 5th straight loss, and they started out the season better than usual. Julius Randle, 28 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Smitty, what did you see from the Knicks in their late-game execution and just overall how they played?
Well, he had some turnovers, and that's unfortunate. I think for them is, as you watch, Julius Randle has been a treat to watch. I mean, here's a guy now. I mean, he's still going all left, but he's starting to make some jumpers. I mean, you look the way he's doing, passing the basketball. I like what they're doing. Yes, they've lost some games, but sometimes you look at the Knicks and you go, wow, after about 15 games, oh, here we go, Knicks again. I can see a bright future for them. I think for them is they're going to have to increase their talent. But the guys that are playing right now is playing hard. And then Julius Randle is one of those guys you got to start talking about most improved because the way he's putting up these numbers has been fantastic.
Channing, what did you think of, Obi Toppin hasn't really been a factor for the Knicks, but Emmanuel Quickly, their other guard that they got in the draft with R.J. Barrett, seemed to be forming a good young nucleus in that backcourt.
I think for me, I like the Knicks, right? I like what they're doing. They're just young, and they're just not as talented as other teams right now. They're figuring out how hard it is to win every single night, right? So for me, Julius Randle is special. He's a great piece. You can build around that, right? He may not be your best player, but his stats are always going to be the same on a good team or a playoff or a bad team or a playoff team, which I love. I love those type of players, right? Where you could just insert them and you're going to get, 20, 10, 5, maybe 3 steals, who knows what. But what they do is they play hard and they communicate and they are taking better shots. They are taking shots within themselves and they are learning on the fly right now. So with all these variables that are going on, I like the future of the Knicks, right? I think obviously they need to bring in some talent to really compete and win. But at this point, these guys are starting to hate losing. And that's the first step of becoming a winning team is when you.
So a lot of action so far. We're going to try to keep you abreast of everything happening around the league and take some live looks in a few minutes, too. But first, let's get you out to the Magic and Celtics. That game already in the books. The Celtics haven't played in the week. Had a bit of rest, COVID protocols, Jaylen Brown back on the court, Jason Tatum not playing, listed on that COVID-19 list for them. It's a cold world, though, Channing.
Okay.
Listen, he's been big.
He's
ever
been
since
huge.
Fultz went out. Yeah, it's been great, man, watching his development. And, the Magic are always going to be in the playoff run. They're not going to beat themselves. They played pretty solid game, but he's been good. I'm impressed with him so far.
15 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists for Cole Anthony. Jaylen Brown with 21 points and 8 assists.
Oh, okay, Jim.
Under the rim nominee.
I like that. He had Cole going one way and then another.
Teague with 17 points.
Wow, that's a different.
Javonte Green said, under the rim, I'm going above the rim.
That's some athleticism.
And Taco Fall.
Oh, no, you're not.
Yes, he is.
You cannot count that. You cannot count that, Channing.
Oh, I'm counting that. Shoot it, big fella.
Banks open on Friday nights with Tacos deposit.
Man, he didn't try Banks over. There's no, man, that form was going to the right and the ball went left.
Tristan Thompson with 11 rebounds, 1 block, 4 points. And Boston, 25 assists in this one. Kemba Walker still out with that knee injury. And again, Jason Tatum out with COVID protocols. So when you look at the Celtics coming back after being off for a week, Smitty, what did you see from that victory from them?
I think for me is when you watch the Boston Celtics, you have some guys that have stepped up. Marcus Smart is one of those unsung heroes for me because he just plays whatever they need. He'll guard anybody. He's pretty much playing the point guard. And I know Channing Frye, living out in the Pacific Northwest, Peyton Pritchard, I'm a big fan. This youngster has come in. He's been solid. So to have 2 guys step up in a role, one who's not a natural point and Peyton Pritchard, a rookie. And it's hard. Rookie hadn't really had a lot of preseason, a lot of training camp. And with no Kemba, I think those 2 guys have done a nice job to keep the Boston Celtics afloat from that position.
Yeah, and I love Smitty saying those 2 guys because when we think of the Celtics now, we do think of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Channing, Jason Tatum out right now. We don't know how long he's going to be out with the COVID-19 protocols. So Jaylen Brown going to be huge for this team going forward. What did you think about him tonight?
I mean, my man is balling. Every year he's gotten better. But the thing for me is he anchors their defense with Marcus Smart. So if he's not scoring, he could get a steal. He can get a deflection. And I think that is what the Boston Celtics are at their best, is when they're out getting deflections like this, getting steals, easy buckets. And I'm going to take a little second to talk about my young fella, Peyton Pritchard. I have watched his kid since junior high when we were at club sport, playing pickup, and he was always trying to get on the court with the big fellas. I've seen his development, so I love that they're giving him an early opportunity. This kid wins, and he makes winning plays. And now you're going to have my other guy, Tristan Thompson, there. And even though he's not there to score, he's here to get offensive rebounds, extra possessions. I like what Boston has done, and I like this time for Jaylen Brown because He's showing his growth, and he's saying, I can take on more. Give me more, Boston Celtics. I like that duo of him and Tatum, but both of those guys as individuals are really the up-and-coming of the NBA.
Smitty, I mean, he said something very interesting about Jaylen Brown in the sense that you see the all-star caliber